Hello Multiverse, welcome to Omniverse Gamers. My name is Damien Bizayo. This video is going to dissect another dynamic encounter. We're going to call this one Owlbear Roost. This is a stealthy / kill mission where they're going to go... Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that the group has dealt with these owlbears a few times. They're actually a Quiqui. I'll leave the link to that down below. These little tiny owl creatures that can turn into owl bears. The original ones can turn into these little bears, but I just, in my mind, a Quiqui, they're going to be a sentient tribal race, so they can actually turn into big owl bears. So it's a fun little dynamic that they can do because the owl bears move a lot faster than the owls do, and the owls themselves have so many hit points within the bears. Like so they've dealt with these owls a couple times. They do not like them. If they watch the last video that I made, Boar and Tabaxi Teens, they were trying to make contact with these tabaxi of this north section of this island where the armadillos and the owls and the all live. Supposed to live in this balance, but the owls have kind of upset the balance a little bit. So they're trying to make contact with the tabaxi, just like they made contact with the armadillos. They were successful there. No one's been able to make contact with the tabaxi, but they have a tabaxi in their party, so they come and, as you can see in that video, they make contact with the teens, and the teens say they'll bring them to the after a little thing happens. The teens bring them to their elders. They don't actually get to the elders. They find one of their scout chiefs. The group tells the tabaxi about the owl bears, how they've dealt with owl bears. So they're kind of, we're on your side. Where your enemy is our enemy. We're here to try to help and try to fix that. So oh, well, if that's true, why don't you prove it to us, and then I will happily bring you to our elders if you can prove to us you're enemies of the owls, because we only have your word for that. But we know a spot where they have a base of operation where the owls, because the owls territory is way to the south and the Tabaxi territory is way to the north. So they have this, the Tabaxi scout chief kind of says that there's this place where there's a roost of owls where they kind of sleep, and that's where they come at night. They come and swoop in and take our kids away, and they just murder us and stuff. So they say, but the owls sleep by the day, and they're not prepared for an attack at all. They sleep. Owls are apex predators on this island. They are used to being they're predators. They're not used to being prey. They don't expect prey to attack them in their roosts at all. So they're not expecting an attack at all. So the group's like, oh, that might be a good idea. We'd really like to kill owl bears, and that sounds fun. We'll go do that for you so we can meet your elders. It's like, oh, it's progression to the whole story. They do this, they can get that. It's just it's just an encounter. I'm sending them on an encounter, but the role play and the exposition is all going to kind of smoothly transition with that. With that in mind, because I had this map, another map by Gamma Web. I'll put that up here. Their Patreon is T-Hawks. I'll put this map up here. It's a really cool, kind of a beach cove with this cliff and these different. It's just a really cool 3-dimensional map that I thought I wanted to use. So what I did is I took, and sometimes I need a bigger area than what the map allows. You know what I mean? Because the maps are a certain size, and I wanted it to be bigger. But I didn't want to stretch this map because I like the proportions. So what I did, I took in Roll20 as a background. I used a different map as a background, and this map was made by Urza Is Mine. This is their Patreon is Neutral Party, and I'll put up this is that map right here. And all I did was use it as a backdrop, and then I put T-Hawks' map up above it, so you can see T-Hawks' map is on the inside, and the map. The neutral party map behind it gave it more, more terrain around it, so I could kind of have it both ways basically. So what I did was I had the owls roosting together in fours, because the owls are always together in fours. It's like their formation. So I had 4 over here, 4 over here, 4 up here, 4 up here. So there was 4 of them, pretty far distance away, because owls have advantage on perception with sight, but not hearing, and they also the rushing of the oceans here, so it's loud. So they're sleeping in this loud ocean. So that I purposely put these things a distance away, that the perception check had to be really good for them to hear each other across the way. So the party sees this. Now let me switch over to my side view. The party comes from the south, and they see these 2 roofs, and they see the other 2 roofs. So they can see all 4 roofs. They can't see on the map because of the way the maps are always recorded from my girlfriend's perspective, her character, because I can't record my GM maps because you'll see everything. So it's more dramatic if I do it from her. So she's the one. This is her perspective of the maps. She'll open it up as you go. So you see these 2 options. They're kind of making their options. They're kind of like, what are we gonna do? They want to burn down the trees. They want to do all these things to try to kill the owls before they wake up, basically. And they determine that causing a fire is not the way to go, because it's going to cause smoke, and the fire is not going to do enough damage to them. They're just going to fly away. So if they wake up, fire, they might get a little bit singed, but they have a lot. The owls themselves have 40 hit points each, so that's a lot. And if they turn into owl bears, they have another 100, so they can kind of back into, like a druid, they can counteract their hit points, go back and forth. But they don't regenerate. If they start as an owl with 40 hit points and take 20, if they go into an owl bear and take 60, when they go back to an owl, that owl's already taken 20. So it's just a way to, but they know that, so they try to kill these owls before they turn into owl bears, because obviously owl bears suck. So they make a plan. They go decide to attack this first roost, and they know it's loud. So they know if they're quiet, they might be okay, because if they're loud and they just attack these things, there's going to be 12 Iquiqui owl bears coming at them. A party of 4 at that 4th level. That's rough. That's going to be rough. And I knew that they made the option to come here. I did not force them to come here. They chose to come and make this attack. So it's their plans. They can always escape. It is what it is. So, they make their plans. They come over. They pretty much force attack these four. They all get a really good plan. The rogue and the fighter rogue get underneath and get ready to sneak attack and they just kind of they give them a surprise round. The owls are asleep. I made perception checks, but they're disadvantaged. They failed, so the owls do not know that they're about to die. They all do their thing as they kill these owls. Like an all surprise round, they manage in that surprise round. They do manage to take out all four of these owls before any of them wake up. They just rolled really good. They did a really good job. So what I did is I rolled perception for all the other roosts with disadvantage, and they needed a pretty high number and I didn't. They failed, so they're like, oh, no, the owls are still sleeping. You got one down. The other ones did not hear you, and they're like, oh my god, okay. Then they make some more plans, like which one do we want to go, left side or right side, and then they determine that if they stay on the west here, that the sound of the water, which to correct, the sound of the water will drown out the sounds of battle, so they might have a better chance than if they were to go to the south. And they just decide that's how they decide to do it. Plus, they all want to stay on the same side of the cliff, while their archers stay way down at the bottom. Our archer and our artificer are way down, with ranged attack, and the fighter and the rogue go up to deal with this second roost. So they're dealing with this roost, and they do a really good job. They manage to murder that roost without it waking up. They just force attack, same thing before, say pretty much the same attack. They just boom, sneak attack. They kill those four. But then I roll perception checks, and the upper east ones, they don't know it yet. They just wake up for some reason. They haven't engaged in combat. They're just like, oh, what was that noise? What was that? They wake up. So then they start attacking that upper one, because that's the one that's awake. They won't freaking take them before they alert the other ones. So they take out one, but the others wake up. The others, they gave out this terrifying cry, which wakes up the other four. Now we're in initiative, because surprise rounds are over. They're awake. We're in initiative, and I'm pretty high in initiative. So the owls come, they do their thing, they go flying. So the owls can fly 30 feet, but the owlbears can run 40 feet. So they fly 30 feet, they transform into owlbears, they still get 10 more feet of movement. So that's basically what they're doing. The three fly over, they turn into owlbears. The four down below see the archers down in the south. They go flying towards them, turn into owlbears. Now, I have 7 owlbears versus a party of 4 4th level characters. And they did a really good job of taking out 2 roosts. So it's fair. It's half as bad as it could be, basically. So they did a pretty good job. And I mean, this is tough. This is 7 owlbears versus a party that's this is a pretty even encounter. But they happen to have the high ground. They're up in the cliffs. They have a couple shots as the owlbears come at them. So they have some advantages as far as that goes. And it was a tactical battle, and now it's basically a tactical positioning. They get to be tactical as they can until the melee kicks in. As soon as the owlbears make contact, there's no more tactics. It's just fight for your life at that point, basically. So the owlbears, they come in, they rush in. This combat got desperate. They all kind of tried to consolidate together so they could work together, because the rogues need other people to work with them, so they kind of all bring them all together, and they know that the artificer is susceptible now, because he has these 2 little blue walls he can create, but he has to use his action or his bonus action to move them into these little walls, and he needs his action and bonus action to do his cantrips and to do his cannon, because he's fighting for his life, basically. And they're running down to save these guys as the other owlbears are chasing them from the north, and they just all kind of end up in the south in this massive, crazy battle, and they just keep fighting and fighting, and they are down. This one was rough. This was close. It wasn't close to a TPK, but they were all hurting. And they were like, "Oh my god, there's no way this is fair." And I'm like, "It's perfectly fair. You guys did what you did. This is what you guys came to fight. It is what it is." Like, I mean, I do the math. They know. I mean, they say it's not fair, but they know I do the math. I know what's fair and not fair. So I've only TPK'd one party in probably 10 years, and that was on purpose, kind of. Yeah, you saw that. You saw the frog video where it went wrong, and it didn't matter because that game. But anyway, so they eventually take all these owls out. Now this battle, once it's over, they murdered 16 of these owlbears, and they also have taken out the forward base where they attack the tabaxi from. So now the owls took a really big blow, but also the tabaxi are a little safe for a while, because now the owls have to fly all the way from the south to come attack the tabaxi. They can't just come to here, sleep overnight, sleep during the day, and just come and attack all day. They dealt a really good blow to these owls, and they were, even though it was a really tough combat, and they were like, God damn these owls, they were really happy about that. And actually, after this battle, this was kind of one of our end battles. They got to go to level 5. So this was like a chapter ending battle, and it kind of ties the rest of the game together, because now that they did this, they are now going to get an audience with the Tabaxi elders, which they're hoping to bridge. They're hoping to make an alliance between the Tabaxis and the Armadillos, and there's supposedly a chameleon tribe somewhere on this island too that may or may not exist. The Armadillos say that they exist, but they've never seen them. The Tabaxi don't believe that the chameleons exist at all. They're just like, well, that's a myth. There's nothing over there. So they don't really know the answer to that. But this was just a really cool stealth assault encounter that could have gone really bad. It could have gone way. They might have been able to stealth and kill all these without even having to fight. That could have happened. But just the way that I made the perception checks really high, but makeable, they ended up dealing 8 of them, they got half of the combatants away before they really had to fight. And they're lucky because the combatants were across the big valley from them, so they got some attacks in while they had to rush them. So it just worked out really great. This is a really, really desperate combat that was really fun. They survive. They persevere. The players persevere, and it's just. So that's just another example of a dynamic encounter and the reasons why I did it and how I use the same monster. This is like the 5th time they fought these owlbears, and it's fun every time because they always, even though it's the same monster, the motivations are different. The attack or defense is different. I always try to add something different to the combat, so it's not just you're fighting this monster again, you're fighting this monster again. I try to do a defense and attack. There's different things to do. So I hope that was interesting. We are Omniverse Gamers. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. A lot more to come. Hope to see you soon, and keep on gaming.